It's time. It's time to take your questions or comments. I got the printouts in front of me. I got the computers in front of me. We're going to take as many comments as we can that came in on yesterday's show. We asked you to just put Friday. A lot of you did. Our social media team went through and they picked out what they thought were great topics of discussion. Will, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, let's go ahead with this one. This is from Robert, and it says, could the ACLJ represent President Trump in his court cases?
Interesting question. Obviously, we are involved in certain ones that do impact President Trump. So we had the Colorado victory where they're trying to keep him off the ballot. We fought that was a violation, that was wrong, and we won. So there are ways that we are representing him, but he's got a lot of lawyers, a big team that's on all these different cases, and they're all different specialties. But where the ACLJ can get involved in these cases, we do.
Right, exactly. And as we always say a lot of times, and if you were to go to aclj.org/help, if you needed legal help, it does have things that are within the scope of the organization and the law firm, because different law firms, they participate or they specialize in different forms of law. So we wouldn't necessarily get involved in every sort
case,
of legal case out there.
P-Dub asked a question. The first debate.
P-Dub Designs.
P-Dub Designs. Well, you gave him a plug. There you go.
Sorry.
The first debate is pre-convention. This is about the presidential debate, obviously, that was decided. Why should RFK Jr. be accepted? Could his inclusion be used as an excuse for Biden to back out of the debate? This takes you back to a conversation we had yesterday. As you know, a couple nights ago, Will and I went to an RFK Jr. event as press. Again, to clarify, we were not donors. We were not supporters. We went as invited press, which obviously we thanked them for doing that. And we were honest with how that event went and so on. One of those big questions that came up, though, was did he actually qualify for this debate? And this is another question. Why should he be accepted? Well, I think he's making the argument he should be accepted because he is meeting the requirements of which CNN, not necessarily President Biden, but what CNN is requesting.
Or at least he believes that by the time the debate gets around, which is not until June 27th, that he would meet those requirements, the polling requirements, the ballot access requirements. But I think that it is an interesting question because, one, it could give Biden an excuse to back out if he says, well, CNN, that's not what we really agreed to. I think it'd be a bad political move because then he would look like he's afraid of debating RFK.
Which I think he is.
Right.
I think he is. There's a reason he put those rules in there. It's because he's afraid that is going to siphon more Biden voters to RFK Jr. Whether you like him or not, he is polling from both sides. If you probably go to more red states, he's probably polling from Trump. If you go to more blue states, he's probably polling from Biden, or he may be just polling almost 50-50. So it may not be a spoiler. We've seen some of those polls come out to say he makes a big impact, but that big impact actually doesn't impact the final number.
This is from Judy, and she says, I continually have issues posting content on Facebook and even commenting on your videos. I'm certain it's because of my conservative views. Is there anything the ACLJ can do to fight back against big tech censorship?
Absolutely. I'm going to encourage you right now, Judy, or anyone who feels this way, go to aclj.org/help. Obviously, we have to do a pretty deep dive to make those proof. But we have a huge audience on Facebook, and Facebook respects the fact that we have a huge audience on Facebook. They want to make sure our audience is served, or at least they will put on the airs to make us feel that way. But we do have lawyers who specify in social media and social media censorship. So if you have a compelling reason to believe this, and I'm talking to all of you out there, I'm going to encourage you right now. And again, the ACLJ does all of our legal work for absolutely no cost, for free. We do that because there are supporters like ACLJ donors and ACLJ champions, monthly supporters. We can't do that without you, obviously, but we're never going to charge our clients. So don't worry about you're going to get contacted by a lawyer and then hit up with a bill. That doesn't happen here. If you feel like you have a real case, Judy or whoever it is, watching right now, that you feel like you are being censored because of your political views, and you don't feel either way that those are because you have said something that is, violent or anything that could be considered real reasons to have you limited on social media. If you feel like it is just because you are a conservative or a Christian or whatever it is, I want to hear from you. Go to aclj.org/help, fill out that simple form, and put on there, Logan sent me. That will help me know that's coming from you.
This is from Thomas. He says, you probably can't answer this. Well, we will.
I like the start of that.
Yeah. But would Pompeo potentially be Trump's pick for vice president? If not, who do you imagine it would be?
Sure. I mean, look, Secretary Pompeo's on this broadcast all the time. That's information that's between him and whatever, the Trump campaign is. I don't see his name being floated out there as much right now. It was previously. And look, there were times where it looked like if Trump didn't run, Secretary Pompeo would have run. And obviously, he is not only a friend of the broadcast, as a member of the team, would have been great. We would have obviously been happy. He's a brilliant guy who I really appreciate his work and all that he's done and all the great work he does for us here at the ACLJ. So sure, that's a name I wouldn't mind hearing. Do I think it's likely? Watch me flash forward a few months from now and I'm totally wrong and he ends up being the pick. But the names we're seeing right now aren't specifically his names. Now, it could be some other people you've heard mentioned on this show before, or maybe some other members of the Secular broadcast team that have been making some waves, whether that's, I got her book somewhere over here, Tulsi Gabbard, some of the others. But you also heard Tim Scott. You heard Kristi Noem until the recent situation. I have to say, after going to the RFK event, the amount of Kristi Noem jokes, is enough to make me believe she's probably not in the running anymore.
Even sometimes you see her name still on the short list, but really the top two contenders you're seeing right now are J.D. Vance out of Ohio and Senator Tim Scott out of South Carolina.
So Doug Burgum is on that list as well.
Yeah, and he's making the TV rounds.
Yeah.
Doug Burgum is getting his name out there in the Veep stakes. Yeah. I don't see that one happening, but he's definitely making a bid for it.
It would be only if President Trump was looking for someone who really isn't going to make any waves. If you're looking for no offense to you, Doug Burgum, but no one knew why you were on that stage to begin with when you were running. And the fact that you would be up there.
No offense, but I'm going to throw some major shade.
Well, I don't think that he's probably a bad guy. I don't know anything about him. He was on those debates, and I still know nothing about him. If you showed me a lineup of 10 people, I don't know if I could tell you which one is him.
That's fair.
They look all the same. If you're looking for someone who, not unlike a Mike Pence, who, by the way, I think you can say whatever you want about him now, at the time, was certainly picked as someone to counterbalance Donald Trump, someone who wasn't going to come at you with insults and salty language or mean tweets at the time. So you sometimes need that, but Tim Scott does offer that. J.D. Vance, he can get pretty hardcore.
He went up to New York. He was there for the trial. You've seen some people within Congress that have been going up to New York that make you think they're trying to raise their stakes in the VP debate or situation.
I don't love that, but it is what it is. People want to show their support. I guess that's fine. But yeah, when you're kind of showing your cards that much, when you're one of the people out there just being like, it seems a little, a little aggressive. Like you're wanting it maybe a little too bad. Like, calm down. Go have your meetings in private. We'll get to that discussion. Look, there was talk a week ago of DeSantis somehow figuring it out. There are talks continually. I think we'll know sooner than later. So what I mean by that is probably in the next month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I think you have to have it probably by then, midsummer, and maybe sooner. Maybe you'll find out today. Could get off this broadcast. It could have happened right now, and I just wouldn't know.